our stories are exactly the same. As far as we went to like the same Christian churches, the same everything. It's crazy. But anyway, all right, well, trivia crack. What do we got here? Commented on your photo, right? Let's see. I have a lot of comments here. I had a friend send me a picture of something that said, "No Jesus or go to hell." So I wrote, "Yo, a Christian friend sent me this. What do you guys think?" And I got a lot of comments. I'll tell you that. The Jesus quiz. The Jesus quiz. All right, here we go. The Jesus quiz. We got it. Nice. All right, let's see what this is about here. You guys want to take the Jesus quiz? All right. What is it? I thought it was something you could actually take. I wasn't going to leave a comment, but I couldn't help myself. I love the Bible. There's no other book which has supplied this level of unintentional comedy and intentional horror to so many. Think about the God-Jesus story at its fundamentals. God is omniscient and omnipotent, but somehow he doesn't foresee that creating Lucifer, Ephesians 3:9, would eventually become a problem. So in his perfection, God creates a being he foreknew would rebel, be cast out, and totally piss on everybody's cornflakes. This all-wise God then allowed Lucifer to use the serpent and tempt to tease God's freshly created and usually susceptible children. And he doubles down on his mistake by placing, so funny I was talking about this. All right. And he placing the object of temptation directly in their path. When this goes horribly awry, God has the nerve to act surprised. Over this simple act of fruit munching, billions of Adam's descendants become infected with sin, requiring rivers of blood for atonement and ultimately the blood of God himself. God, in his omnipotent, cannot simply manifest forgiveness to save humankind from the unspeakable torture chamber, the hell that God himself created. So he constructs a plan which requires that he impregnate a teenage girl with himself so that he could become his own father. And the Godchild would spend a few years performing miracles which could not be authenticated and having himself pinned to a few pieces of wood. God would then have this act of sacrificial torture and execution documented by anonymous primitives 1400 years before the inventing of the printing press. The often conflicting stories compelled in a Bible, comprised of books which were voted on repeatedly and with different outcomes by flawed, fallible humans, and for generations, apologists would argue over its most basic stories and claims. While these discussions about heaven, hell, sin, Satan, salvation, baptism, the Holy Spirit, obedience, and divine power are being haggled over, Jesus foregoes all opportunities to settle the issues with another in-person encounter and clearly stated instructions, and he instead decides it's more important to manifest his image in clouds, in dreams, and on various pieces of toast. When the authenticity of these appearances is challenged, the faithful will threaten hell and call this proof. Meanwhile, whole segments of the good book, the B.I.B.L.E, the one which will reveal Yahweh's commands to execute disobedient children, Deuteronomy 21, 18-21, to have his army soldiers kidnap virgin women for their own pleasure, Numbers 31:18, that he would skip the punishment of Pharaoh, so instead he could wipe out 500,000 lives, all of which supposedly deserved it. including women and infants, in a single battle over what amounts to mere tribalism. 2 Chronicles 13:17. To banish menstruating women from their homes because they're icky. Leviticus 15:19 through 30. To declare that gays deserve execution. Romans 1:32. To mute the voices of females. 1 Timothy 2:11 through 15. And to roast billions without end in the most imaginable torture chamber ever created. Revelations 20:15. Finally, the Bible contains obviously credible stories of talking donkeys, 900-year-old humans, flying chariots of fire, talking shrubbery, levitation, giants, curses, global floods, which leave no geological evidence, supermen who gain powers based on the length of their hair, and people who can survive inside huge big fish for 3 days. Yes, the B.I.B.L.E. actually is not the book for me. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's version of the podcast. This is the Dean James Podcast, Searching for the Truth.
You say